Hey guys, it's K0MRD, your radio prepper, and I am live tonight with a very interesting, I'm hoping it's an interesting evening for you. It's be about an hour and a half maybe. Just want to get some misinformation about Baofengs, and yeah. And once we get a few more people in here, I'll do an intro about myself for people who don't know. And yeah, we'll see what's going on. Anyway, I hope your day's all right. Mine is doing pretty good. Had a long day at work, not a big deal. And yeah, and I'm going to put the link in the chat and pin it so folks could come up and chat with me in real time. And I'm going to go to all chat, live chat. There we go. There we go. All right, pinned, getting ready. Hello, hello, hello. How are ya? Hope your day's going well. Wearing my merch. Yay. Thank you, Polaron. I really appreciate that. And now my house panther is sitting next to me. He wants to have all my attention. Just a normal day. Had some good news. Post-flood landlord is knocking rent in half for a month. All right. That's a good deal. Can't beat that with a stick. I'm glad that worked out for you, Joe. No, this is not beer. This is cherry lemonade. I don't drink anymore, so there is that. Joe, you shared it on Discord. Thank you. Hello, Loretta. Thank you for coming in. I just wanted to give everybody a chance to come in and get comfortable. Appreciate that. I really appreciate it. Cherry beer. No, I can't drink anymore. It would really affect my medication that I take. I'm diabetic, so there is that. All right, about 3 minutes, I'm actually going to officially start. And hopefully the people that were in Alley Cats Live the other night will come in and get an education. Well, no, it's just a life change, really. I had to change how I eat, how I drink, what I eat and drink. So, it is what it is. My whole family's diabetic, so it was inevitable. It still sucks. I have to stay away from salt and the like, but, I can live with it. There are a few alternatives to salt. There's lemon. Lemon tricks your body into thinking that food has salt in it, so it works. I actually enjoy it. I don't enjoy being diabetic, having to poke my finger every morning, but hey, it's part of life now, I suppose. Yeah. Well, the reason I'm doing this is because I was in Alley Cats. Well, I wasn't in the live. I was in chat. And they were talking about communications and radios, and there was some misinformation that people had, and I'd like to, give my experience on the matter. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. My older brother, has lost part of his foot due to diabetes, but he decided he wasn't going to take doctor's advice and stop eating the way he was and all of that kind of crap. So anytime he gets on with me, oh, you think you're better than I am? Yeah, I've got all 10 toes and 10 fingers. So imagine that. But like I was saying, I was in Alley Cats Live, and there were some questions, and I was trying to give information that I could in chat, but knowing that there's a lag between StreamYard and YouTube, well, that's really a pain in the butt. I'm just taking care of myself so I don't get stuck that way. Once you need meds, yeah, pretty much. Northern Girl Hobbies, how are you? All right, catch the replay. You really haven't missed anything yet. I'm officially starting. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I am K0MRD, your radio prepper. And tonight I want to talk about the limitations, expectations, and realities of the Baofeng radios and variants. A lot of preppers are getting them, and they're saying, well, I'll just use it when the stuff hits the fan. Well, there's a problem with that, because while these are ubiquitous, easy to use, there's also a learning curve. You have to know what frequencies to use, if there are any CTSS tones, all of that information. I have to make a few phone calls. Okay, Northern Girl, thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. The fact of the matter is, the UV-5Rs and all the variants are ham radios. They're sold as such. They are dual band radios, which means they use 2 meter and 70 centimeter frequencies. And radio to radio, you can expect to get maybe 1 to 5 miles, maybe, if you have good terrain. If you connect it to a repeater, and that's where the CTSS codes come in, you can extend that to 30 to 50 miles in a radius. Now, a lot of people will tell you, well, you could just put in GMRS signal or GMRS or FRS frequencies and it'll work, which is true. It will work. However, it is illegal to do so on these radios because they're not type accepted for FRS. They have too much power. These radios are 5 watts. Okay. This is an example of an FRS radio. This is a Baofeng 888S. Okay. This is a 2-watt radio. This is also technically a UHF, an amateur radio, because it's on the UHF frequencies. However, people do program them for FRS, and they use them. And while it's not legal, the FCC is not going to hunt you down. And, oh, yes, and the frequency offset. Thank you, Polaron. The FCC is not going to come knocking on your door if you're using a 888S on FRS frequencies, because it is limited to 2 watts. Okay. And Polaron brought up a good thing I forgot. It's the offsets on the repeaters. Some repeaters will go positive, some will go negative. You have to know that information in order to access the repeater. Okay? And I swear to God in heaven, go away. Sorry, my cat's being a pain. I deal with so much bad information on a daily basis in the gun world. Most common bad ideas are SKS and the lower around them dudes getting a tiny. Yeah. Yes. Have a good night, Northern Girl, and thank you for popping in. I appreciate it. Um, the range on the 888S is 1.5 miles in a suburban setting. I could talk from here to, you know, the nearest grocery store if I have to. Because it's 2 watts, you're not going to get that far. In an urban setting, they're good for, hey, Prepper Book Club, in an urban setting, you may get half a mile. Simple as that. Now, they sell these with the unmistakable claim that you could talk 50 miles. What they don't tell you is that you have to have optimum conditions to do so. Those optimum conditions are over open water, as in the ocean. Not many oceans around in my area. So that 50-mile range is, while not an exaggeration, it is misleading. It's insane what people will do. And it's insane what people will believe. I want everybody to have communications. I'm not even going to go into the legalities of it. That's for a different time. Okay. If you're interested in amateur radio or communications in general, get a CB. Okay. CBs are not bad. I love CBs. I love mine. They're great. They're short range, just like the UV-5R. This is technically a short range communication device. Okay. You are not going to talk from state to state with it. It just doesn't happen that way. A lot of misinformation or disinformation is out there. Well, I could talk all the way around the world. No, not with that. Not with the UV-5R. There are instances where tropospheric ducting does happen. That is few and far between. I just want, I don't want people to have bad information on anything. And I agree with you, Joe. I love my Baofeng radios. I have 6, 7 of them by now. Okay. That way, all of them are programmed to the same frequencies. Even my 888S, because it's a UHF radio, I can put on the UHF. I can put on the UHF ham bands. Depends on antenna and whether you're using a base CB setup. True. But legally, just a regular mobile CB is relegated to 4 watts, which is pretty good considering. You can get the 102-inch whip on your car. And yeah, you could do that. If you have an SSB CB, a single sideband CB, that's 12 watts. And that's a base station. So, with that said, if that's all you have, then my God, use it. Don't let anybody tell you, oh, it's just CB. CB is a fine communication tool. It was used in the 70s. It fell off in the 90s, I suppose. But I still use mine. I love it. I have 3 mobile units and a base unit. I use them all the time. Yeah, a linear amp does work, but according to the FCC, it's not strictly legal. Therein lies the problem. I know people do it, and the FCC is not coming for them. I just want to get that out there. Okay. I don't have a linear amplifier on my CBs, but I do have a linear amplifier from my UV-5R. This is a 5-watt radio. The linear amp kicks it up to 30 watts, which increases the range. So there is that. These radios are good for what they are. They're local communications. And that's all people should expect them to be, is local communications. Now, the 888S, this is extremely local, like neighborhood. You are not legally allowed to put this on a repeater because it's not type accepted, and there's all of that. With the UV-5R and the variants, the UV-5R A, B, what have you, the UV-82, you can, hey Sherry, thanks for coming in. You can extend the range to a 50-mile radius from your repeater. Okay. I hit a repeater from my home that's 15 miles away, and I can talk to somebody almost up to, I want to say Story County, which is about 40 miles north. And we're still in contact. Okay. And it is legal to do so because I've got the license. That's another thing I hear a lot of. A lot of preppers are saying, well, when the stuff hits the fan, a license isn't going to matter. While that is absolutely true, you need to know how to use the equipment. And the best way to learn how to use the equipment is by getting a license. You practice with it just as much as you would practice with a firearm. You need to practice with your communications. You need to know what you can and can't do with it. I've got 10 years experience, 13 years experience as a ham radio operator. In this field, I know exactly what I'm talking about. When people ask me, well, can you talk around the world on that? No. I can talk maybe the next county over, but I'm not going to talk from here to England. It's just not going to happen. It's simple as that. These radios are extremely local. Okay. And that's all they're intended to be. Now, if you want worldwide communications or even regional communications, the tech license does have privileges on 10-meter phone, which is the voice portion of the spectrum. And I would strongly suggest, if you are interested in communications, to get your license and practice with it. Practice with your gear as best you can. And by that, you would just basically hit your repeater and talk on nets. Nets are networking outlets, basically. For regional or worldwide communications, you want at least 10 meters with the proper antenna and a license. You get the license now, you practice with your comms gear, you'll know what to do when the shit hits the fan. Otherwise, you're just going blind and you have no idea what's going on. You can turn this on all day and talk into it and nothing. But if you know to hit the memory button, key up to a repeater, you're good to go. If you know the offset, the CTSS codes, all of that information is necessary to communicate with ham radio. CB is different. CB is a bit more plug and play. You don't have to worry about the offset tones, the CTSS, or any of that. But it is, again, a local communication. You are not going to talk around the world on a UV-5R. It's just not going to happen. And I'm not ignoring folks. Alley Cat, I'm glad you're here. Thank you for coming in. I hope Bougie comes in, because I know she had questions that I would be willing to answer. And if you're interested, the StreamYard link is pinned up at the top. Come on up anyway if you want. If not, that's fine. A lot of people don't want to get on a government list. That's another thing I've heard. And well, quite frankly, if you own a car, if you own a house, if you have a social security number, you're already on a list. It doesn't mean the government is going to come and confiscate your shit. Hell, the government doesn't even care. So long as you have a license, you can prove that, yes, I have taken the time to learn Sherry, 1 second. I have taken the time to learn how to use my communications equipment effectively and efficiently. That's all it means. Sherry, what kind of radio is it to reach far, like elsewhere or overseas? You would need a high frequency radio with privileges in the 20, 40, 60, 80 meter band. That would be your general license. Yeah, we're all on lists already. I'm on a list for medication. I'm on a list because I drive a car. I'm on a list because I have a license to operate amateur radio. It's that simple. High frequency radio, a high frequency setup would be needed to talk overseas. And those do get expensive. However, there's a lot of Chinese radios now that will perform the same thing at lower prices, one of which being the Xiegu G90. And that retails for about $4.99 on Amazon. Okay, as opposed to the $1,600. 60 meters is military ham, from what I understand. You need a bit more than just a hamster ticket. Actually, no, 60 meters is not military. The military has their own frequencies. 60, there's a lot of vets on 60, but it's not strictly military. I'm on several lists because some think I'm a danger to society. Yeah, that's funny. 60 meter channels are the only one. Let me start again. The 60 meter frequencies are the only ham bands that are channeled. And they have specific uses, and I don't even bother with 60, so I don't ever get on it. I'll get on 20 meter and 40, because those are the two that I use frequently, and those are the best ones that I can use. 20 meters during the day, 40 meters at night, both because neither one of them are seasonal dependent. A lot of other ham bands are 15, 10, and the lower ones, 60 and 80. Those are all seasonal dependent. So, yes, All the license says is that you've taken the time to learn how to effectively and efficiently use your communications tools, and you know what you're doing. Um, without getting political, that January 6th thing that happened in Washington, y'all know what I'm talking about. I doubt at all that everyone there was a ham radio operator, although they were all carrying ham radios. They were using them incorrectly. They probably had GMRS frequencies programmed into this little thing. It is not legal to do that. Okay. Excuse me. These are great tools for communications for local. And if that's all you want, by God, the tech class or the tech test is 35 multiple choice questions. You can study up for free at qrz.com, the ARRL. There are several places. Just do a Google search for free tests. They can nail you on special charges for that too, I'd assume. Yeah, they could, because you would be causing interference with the general mobile radio service. What you have to do, you actually have to have a license to be on GMRS as well. It costs, currently it costs $70, but after the 19th, it'll cost $35. Hi, Alley Cat. How's it going?
Good. Thank you for coming over to my channel and helping explain the ham radio stuff and everything. I'm still totally confused, but I'm going to stick with you and Plaren, and, maybe it'll finally hit the old noggin and, I'll understand it better.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't take all that bad.
What kind of radio could I get for a decent price where I could talk to somebody who lived in, like, to say, because I don't want to give out anybody's locations, to speak to you or to speak to Plaren? I'm in Alabama.
And I'm in Iowa.
Okay.
You would need a 10-meter radio.
10 meter. All right.
Yeah.
Hold on, because I'm going to write this down now.
I'm
going to take advantage of you here, comrade.
That's why I'm here.
Okay. 10 meter. What price range do those run in?
$200-$300.
That's still not too bad.
No. And actually, they look like CBs. So if you go to like Amazon and do a search for 10-meter radios, a lot of them will look like the really souped up Cobras with the shiny chrome fronts and everything. You want to make sure it's a 10-meter radio. Okay.
Now, do I need any kind of special antenna?
You would need at least they work best with dipoles. So, you can get actually a wired dipole. A dipole is you take two antennas. Each antenna is half of a dipole. All right.
Okay.
Now you take wires, put them this way. You see that?
Yeah.
Okay. There's going to be a wire coming down through the middle that connects to your radio. Okay. The higher the antenna is in the air, the better it is.
Okay.
You can get actually I have a 10-meter vertical antenna that basically is just a wire whip. Basically, it's 8 feet long, and you could mount that on the outside of your house and have the cable running into your radio.
Okay.
It's not the best.
I've heard I forget who the other ham radio. It wasn't Polarin. It was somebody else before I ever met Polarin. They gave out their radio code or what, but they also gave out their phone number. And they said you could either reach me on the radio by using the ham or by the phone number.
Right.
Is that the way that works?
That's up to the individual operator. I mean, everybody knows my call sign. It's K0MRD. That's my ham radio call sign.
K0MRT. K0MRD. Oh, yep. Comrade, duh.
Yeah. And Polarin is right. You want to get an SWR to check the reflected RF output. But in layman's terms, the simplest way to do it is get yourself a vertical antenna that is for the 10-meter band. They're usually 1 to 2, 1.2 or 1.3 to 1, which is what you want.
Yeah.
For good reflection. Hey, Cascadia, what's going on?
Polarin, you don't have to worry, because when I go shopping for a radio, I'm going to have you on the phone and show you everything I'm looking at. And you can say, yes, no, waste of money. That's a good price. I would never dare to even go in one of those places. Not have. They'd be selling me a friggin' $5,000 radio by the time I walked out of there.
Yeah, really, just go to Amazon.com. You can find a 10-meter radio there. You know, okay. Maybe that's 300 at top. Yeah.
I'm going to go live after you're done. Mm-hmm. Bougie might come over. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But if you're interested next week, Polarin, did we say we were going to be doing it on Tuesday nights? Our collaboration thing. Why are you hiding in the chat?
The link is up there. Everybody, anybody's welcome to come up if they want. I can have 6 people because I'm not paying for it.
I think it's 10. Yeah, it is 6.
Yeah.
But you only get 20 hours.
Yeah. Cinderella, thank you for coming in.
Oh, Prince Charming must have kissed her.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching in your chat the other night, and it's when I don't remember who it was, but she held up one of these little radios.
Yeah, that was Virginia.
Yeah. The 50-mile range on these, let me explain. They say they advertise them as 50 miles, but that's in optimum conditions. Those optimum conditions are over open water, like in the ocean.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think she knows that.
What you can expect to get out of these is 1.5 miles. And that's in a suburban setting. In an urban setting, it'll be maybe 0.5 mile.
That wasn't very helpful.
No.
I guess I was going to change these curtains because that glare is like driving me insane. There's my friend. Hello, Polarin.
Waving to the Alley Cat radio purple.
Okay, Sherry. So yeah, these I love my Baofengs. There was an F4 tornado come through my town about 3 weeks ago. We lost power. I was on my mobile unit in my bedroom. Power went out. I had to grab this radio and connect it to my mag mount antenna.
We got hit with tornadoes last night.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. And it ripped off my gutter off the front of my house and knocked over my wooden wishing well. But the gutter was kind of like just hanging by one screw at the corner of the house. So we didn't have a tall enough ladder so that my husband could put it back up. So while he was at the store buying the ladder, another big gust came and it just kind of like bent it in half and, just destroyed it. But yeah, I was sitting there thinking, yeah, that'd be a good time to have some kind of radio because they test the tornado siren all the time, but when there's actually tornadoes around, you don't hear a friggin' peep.
Right.
But you'll get a notification on your phone, and it'll say there's a touchdown 1/10 of a mile from your house, and I'm like, okay, so at the corner, because that's 1/10 of a mile to the corner of my. So
yeah,
so
for me,
this is something that I do want to get in my preps, but anyways, Plaren, did we decide we were going to do that collaboration on Tuesdays?
Yeah, it was on Tuesday.
Okay, so Tuesday, I think. What time did we start? 6 or 7?
7 would probably be okay if K0MRD ever wants to join.
Okay.
Yeah, if I get the chance, I'll be more than happy to jump up.
Yeah, because we want to hit every angle of it. We want to hit the communications, security, and then just the usual prepping stuff. How to start being a prepper.
Yeah.
We just want to cover all bases. I've got a niece down in Florida that is absolutely terrified of weapons. And I had brought mine down with me because we were traveling from Alabama to Florida, and I do have a concealed carry license. And she has a 1-year-old in the house. So as soon as I walked in, I said, "Do you have a high shelf that you can put this on?" And she's like, "We have a locked safe." And I was like, "Okay." I said, "Put this in the locked safe." She's like, "I'm not touching it. I'm touching it." So by the time I left there, I at least got her to hold it. I had to open it up and show her that there was nothing in it. And mine's a revolver, so it's not anything that has a clip or anything. You can see that it's clear. And she's like, I touched it. That's as far as I'm going to go. So,
well, that's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, but my niece's husband, he's starting a company for home security, and so he was telling her, he was explaining to her about weapons, and said, because you're afraid of them, your best bet in the layout of your house would be to get a rifle, because if you get a handgun, I don't know if I can say that on your channel or not, but
yeah, I don't care.
He was saying, if as scared as you are, you got to keep in mind that even if you hit that person, it could go through your wall into your neighbor's house and kill their kid that's sleeping in their bed. And so he was talking about the spray zone with a shotgun thing, and I was like, that's good knowledge, So I'm trying to work out something where I can get him to come up and talk about like home security stuff, and because our bedrooms, this is only a 2-bedroom house, so, and there's actually, shut up, Bill. Anyway, so the way our house is set up, we don't have that long hallway advantage. Is that okay?
Yeah, that sounds good.
No, he's yelling at me because I'm telling just because I said we live in a 2-bedroom house, I got yelled at.
I get it. Yeah, but I can understand what you're saying. So you need other options as far as protecting yourself and your family goes.
Yeah.
Which is understandable.
Yeah.
Well,
like even simple communication. When we were the direct hits for Francis and Jean when I lived in Florida, and I had one of those government phones. Remember when they were giving away the government cell phones?
Yeah.
But this was one of those flip kind where you had to count the letters if you wanted to text message.
Oh yeah.
So everybody's phones went down, and they had the Sprint, the most expensive Sprint phones that were out at that time. They had no signal at all. And my little cheap phone would work, but I couldn't call them because their phones didn't work. And then it finally dawned on me. I'm like, my sister has a landline. And so my sister-in-law at the house I was staying at, she's like, well, we don't have a landline. We have cordless phones. And I said, but I have one in my box of my preps. So I pulled out the house phone, we plugged it in, and we were able to call her to find out what was going on. And that's when she told us that when the front end of the storm came, it had ripped parts of her roof off. And so we're all like, she said, we were out there when the eye was passing. And because they were building that house across the street from us, they didn't move anything like they were supposed to by law. So we were snatching up all their wood, and we were up there just hammering away as quick as we could, before
Yep.
the end of the storm came. But yeah, so that's something that, I talked to my niece about, because we go through like the food portion of it, but we try to cover all aspects, and I forgot to tell her about that time because we were actually at her dad's house when that incident happened. But she sells baby formula online, and she said she hates it because she has to lie to her customers and tell them that they're out of stock of stuff. And she said we're not selling it anymore. It comes from China, and so we have to make excuses, saying it's because of the pandemic we're behind, and and she said I feel so bad lying to them because my son is still drinking formula and things like that. But I forgot where I was going with that story. So I've had several strokes, so I kind of
All right.
I drift off.
Huh? Well,
I'll remember it after we're done. I'll remember what it was I was going to say.
Getting back to the communications, having a landline is a good idea. See, communications isn't just about radio. Any means of communication that you have, landline, cell phones, during a situation like a tornado, don't try calling anybody on a cell phone. Send them a text message. It takes less bandwidth.
Yeah.
Most people don't realize that. They're all going to try calling, and the towers get tied up or whatever, or the towers are down themselves. You can still send a text message because it takes a lot less bandwidth. It'll reach further than a regular phone call. And it's the same thing with like CW on ham radio. It takes a lot less bandwidth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of getting your license. If you're gonna get ham radio, get your license, learn how to use your equipment. That way, when the shit hits the fan, you'll know what to do.
Oh, we've had 2 blackouts in this town, and the entire area is 600. The county that I live in is 623 square miles, but we're only in a little tiny portion of that community, a little small town. We literally have one blinking light. So when the power went out, I just thought it was my circuit breaker had kicked off because we have a problem with that. And it took me a while, and then I went to the front door and I was like, the whole friggin' town's out, So, of course, I immediately went to my cell phone to see if I could call the police and ask them what's going on and stuff. And no service because our internet's connected to pretty much everything in our house. So my son comes home and he took his phone off of Wi-Fi and he called my husband and was asking him questions and stuff. And so I get on the phone with my husband and he's like, what about the phone in the kitchen? And I'm like, what phone? I was like, oh, that's right. We have a landline. I forgot because we never use it. It's just kind of like a decoration hanging in the kitchen, And I was like, you're right. We do have a landline. I can call them on that. So I was able to call, and they said this was the second time that had happened where the entire county went out. It was scary the first time because we had just moved here and my neighbors weren't exactly friendly, and they would not tell me anything that was going on. And so I saw that there was a cop across the street from my house, and he had his lights on. And so I got in my car and I drove over across the street to where he was, and he's banging away on his keyboard on his computer inside his cruiser. And I noticed that there was nothing on the screen. It was pitch black. And I said, could you, I said, look, I just moved here. Could you please tell me what's going on? Is this a thing that happens all the time? He says, I have no idea what's going on. But that, you know, but I keep looking at his computer and he's still banging and pushing buttons and stuff. And I'm thinking, good to know, because if this goes down again, I know I can go somewhere and get what I want, and you're not going to get the message. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, he couldn't even call on his radio that he had up on his shoulder.
Yeah, because they're all digital.
Yeah, he couldn't even use that.
What I love about the UV-5Rs, they're all analog.
Okay.
I don't like digital anything because it rides on the internet infrastructure. Internet goes down, you're not going to have communications on digital. Although your analog radios absolutely will.
You said that's a UV analog?
UV-5R is the model radio this is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a base model.
And actually, no, this is the extended battery and the aftermarket whipped antenna. But
I'm taking notes, Blaine.
Yeah. And this is the Baofeng. That's how it's said.
Yeah, excuse me if I keep calling it boofing.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody pronounces it different. Baofeng, whatever you want to call it.
In answer to Cinderella's question, she just asked. Now let me pull it up. Show it. Come on. Here we go.
I saw it.
Oh.
I saw you. You brought it up, but then you.
Oh, okay. It hid. Yeah. What if it's both digital and analog? If the digital side goes down, you still have analog. You will still have communications. Just because one side goes down, both of them won't. So, and the Yaesu FT65. Actually, yeah, I have a Yaesu FT50 or 70D. It does digital, but I use it as analog. I don't like the digital. I get lost messing with digital. So I prefer analog because that's pretty much the Nokia of the radio waves. You can't beat analog for anything. AM, especially at night, AM travels the farthest. I'm picking up on my shortwave radio. I'm picking up Eastern Europe.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's just AM.
Huh.
So yeah, you can actually get a shortwave radio. They're a bit more expensive, but they serve a purpose. You can get information in. You're not going to talk to anybody, but you can get the information necessary. Like when what was it? Maria hit Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
They lost all their communication. The ARRL was asking for ham radio operators to go to Puerto Rico, set up comms for the whole island.
Yeah.
You know, and it was done. People went down there with HF radios, with local radios. They went down, set up comms while the government was still pulling its head out of its ass. And they did it for no money. They didn't get paid for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a subscriber to my channel, Mosaic Masters.
Mm-hmm.
And I was asking him, you know, are you guys all back to normal there? And he's like, not even close. He said, I mean, it's getting better, but he said, you know, the lower end is getting they're like still trashed.
Yeah.
But you know, he's always building things for the next big storm that's going to come in.
Mm-hmm.
So he
I
does
don't blame
a lot
him.
of videos on that.
Yeah,
He's a real interesting channel.
Now, what I'm doing myself, because this tornado knocked out our power here, I'm building an I'm calling it my emergency ammo can. Okay, yeah. I've got a 50 cal ammo can. I have my 2-meter amplifier. I need to get a battery to run the amp and my radio.
Yeah.
Put it all in the can, So the next time the power goes out, all I got to do is pull that out, attach my mag mount antenna, and I'm talking 30 watts. So, I mean, that's one of the things I'm doing for the next big storm. Or if I go camping and I want a base station. So,
yeah, I have one of those ammo cans. I have no idea where I got it from, but that's where I keep my weapon locked up at all the time. And we don't have kids around here that come to our house or anything. It's just I just don't like it laying around out in the open, you know. But yeah, that's actually a good idea. I like that. I would go in the bedroom and go get it, but then my husband would be, "What are you going to be showing them now?"
Nah, don't worry about it. I get it. But yeah, if you're interested, hell, you can do it with CB too. You don't need to have a ham radio to do it.
Yeah. Well,
you can do this.
He's an OTR, so
okay, yeah, you can do this.
All about the CBs and all that stuff.
Yeah, you can do the same damn thing with CB. Hell,
yep.
If that's all you got, then use it.
Polarin knows what kind he has when he was explaining it to Polarin. Because if I'm talking to a man, I'll ask him to come out if he's home. I'll ask him to come out and ask, like told Polarin to, show his face so that my husband could see him. And it was like, I said, I'm just doing that to try to be respectful because I'm talking to men and, So
yeah,
that's one reason. But
there's a lot of older ham people that will shoot down CB as nothing but wannabes and bootleggers. Screw that. If it's your means of communication, then by God, use it.
Yeah.
I don't care what you got. Tin cans and a string. Smoke signals. Hell, semaphore.
Yeah.
There we go.
I do know how to do smoke signals.
Okay. You're one up than I am.
You're looking very handsome there, Polarin.
Yeah, thanks, Sir Alley Cat.
Got him a haircut. He shaved. Got a nice shave. And I was like, we were talking, and I said, why don't you just shave like under your neck here, And that's when he turned his camera on, and I was like, dang, who's that?
Yeah.
Like, you've been hiding behind that avatar there.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt, good to see you. Yeah, I mean,
I have to watch the chat on my my phone because I can't see it on here.
Yeah.
For some reason, it's like 15 minutes after or 15 seconds after somebody's posted something.
Yeah, and that's the problem with StreamYard.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love amateur radio. It's one of my favorite hobbies. And actually, I got into it well after I became a prepper. I became a prepper in '98.
Yeah.
I was still living in Chicago. I was waiting for the 2K bug.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Well, I've been all my life too, but for me, it was never called prepping. It was just
living.
Yeah, just making sure that there was an extra can of soup on the shelf or an extra this or that. So now I'm full blown prepper. I've got the buckets. I've thought of every angle as far as like cooking. We have to have our coffee. I mean, we will become violent if we don't have our coffee. So I found like these little tin cans of coffee, and you got 12 of them for they were $1.75 at the place that I buy them.
That ain't bad.
So if you have like one of those camp stove percolator things, it's exactly the amount that you need for a percolator, and it is strong coffee.
Good.
And because it's all been vacuum sealed in cans and everything, it stays nice and fresh. I've got the coffee beans, and they're vacuum sealed and in the freezer. But then I found an old fashioned manual coffee grinder. So I was like, well, let's try this thing out and see if it works. So I pulled out some of the beans, and I was like, man, this thing works great,
Yeah.
But I found a blender that doesn't require, it's a manual blender, requires electricity, chopper, a boot processor. It came in like one great big box. It was just everything. And none of it requires any electricity whatsoever.
Well, that's great. Yeah.
See, I like knives, but I cut my fingers every time I try to cut some, if I'm trying to cut anything like an onion or anything, it's a guaranteed it's going to be a bleeder.
Yeah. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to drop out because my blood sugar is starting to dip and I need to eat something.
Oh, yeah, watch that.
So, yeah, I'll be back on. If you're going to go live, I'll come up and we'll continue the discussion. Okay.
Okay. That sounds good. Get your blood sugar
right.
back on. I got to get mine down. All right.
All right, guys.
Thanks for letting me up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bye.
Have
Take it easy.
And have a good one there, K0MOD.
You're very welcome. Thank you guys for showing up and thanks for coming in. It's
Everybody
K0MOD.
hit the like button. Don't forget to hit the like button, guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
Please and thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a good one.
All right, bye-bye.
Yeah, you too.
See you in a bit, Polarity.